Hello everyone and welcome back to Mysterious Murmurs. I know many of you use these videos to fall asleep, so before you drift off I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story name: The Shatterglass Diary. The first thing I read was my name, Elliot Carter. I froze. It was written in thin, spidery letters, almost like someone had carved it into the page. My first instinct was to laugh it off. Maybe Uncle Raymond had planted it as a prank. He loved to tease me, always saying I was too serious for my own good. But the ink was dry, faded at the edges like it had been there for years. I turned the page. More words appeared, forming as I watched. Turn around. I snapped the diary shut, my heart hammering in my chest. My skin prickled with a chill so sharp it felt like someone had dropped ice water down my spine. The room seemed darker somehow, like the light from the overhead bulb was being swallowed by the shadows. I forced myself to glance over my shoulder, half expecting to see someone standing there. But the room was empty, just shelves packed with old clocks, tarnished candlesticks, and forgotten relics that hadn't been touched in decades. I laughed nervously, the sound too loud in the silent shop. "Get a grip, Elliot," I muttered to myself, but I couldn't stop thinking about the words. I opened the diary again, flipping to the next blank page. My name was there, written over and over in jagged lines, filling the space. The last entry was different. Glass breaks. Blood spills. He watches. Before I could make sense of it, a crash erupted from the other side of the room. I jumped, nearly dropping the diary. A shelf had collapsed, spilling its contents. Ceramic vases, brass ornaments, glass figurines, all shattered on the floor. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even been near it. The diary slid from my hands, landing with a dull thud on the floor. My breath came in shallow gasps as I backed away. Uncle Raymond burst into the room, his face pale. "What the hell happened?" he demanded, his eyes darting between me and the mess. I don't know," I stammered. "It just fell." He frowned, his gaze landing on the diary. "What's that?" "I found it in the chest," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Uncle Raymond crouched to pick it up, but the moment his fingers brushed the cover, he recoiled, hissing like he'd been burned. "Don't mess with that," he said, his voice sharp. "Some things are better left alone." I stared at him, confused. "You don't even know what it is." "I don't need to know," he snapped. "Put it back where you found it." "Forget about it." But I couldn't forget. That night, I lay in bed, the diary resting on my desk across the room. I told myself I wouldn't open it again. I told myself it was just some old book, nothing more. But as the hours dragged on, I felt it calling to me. It wasn't a voice, not exactly. It was a feeling, a pull, like an itch in the back of my mind that wouldn't go away. By midnight, I couldn't resist anymore. I got out of bed, the floor cold under my feet, and sat down at the desk. When I opened the diary, the pages were blank. For a moment, I felt relief. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Maybe I was just tired. But then, the words began to appear. "You opened the door." I slammed the book shut, my hands trembling. The door to my bedroom creaked open, the sound echoing in the stillness. My heart nearly stopped. "Hello," I called out, my voice barely more than a whisper. No answer. I got up, my legs shaking, and stepped into the hallway. The light from my room spilled out, but the rest of the house was pitch black. I stood there, straining to hear anything. Footsteps, breathing, anything, but there was nothing. Just the oppressive silence. When I turned back to my room, the diary was open. Its pages fluttered, though there was no wind. The writing was different now, bolder, darker, as if the ink had soaked into the paper. "Don't look away." Something shifted in the corner of the room, just outside the light. My eyes darted to the shadows, and for a split second, I thought I saw movement. A figure, tall and thin, hunched over, its head tilted at an unnatural angle. The lights flickered, and when they came back, the figure was gone. I grabbed the diary and shoved it into my backpack, zipping it shut as if that would stop whatever was happening. But the feeling didn't go away. It followed me, a suffocating weight pressing down on my chest. The next morning, I told Uncle Raymond what had happened. He didn't seem surprised. "There are things in this world we don't understand," he said, his voice low. "Things that don't belong. That diary, it's one of them." I wanted to believe him, but I needed answers. Who wrote the diary? Why did it know my name? And what did it want from me? The entries became more specific, more personal. They didn't just describe what I was doing. They predicted what would happen next. At first, it was small things. You'll spill your coffee. The phone will ring, but no one will answer. Then it got darker. You'll see her face in the mirror. Don't go to the bridge. By the time I realized what it meant, it was too late. The diary wasn't just predicting the future. It was shaping it. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop reading. By the time I realized what it meant, it was too late. The diary wasn't just predicting the future. It was shaping it. I became obsessed. Every day, I tried to resist opening it, but the pull was unbearable. I'd find myself holding it before I even realized what I was doing. And each time I opened it, the entries seemed to dig deeper into my life, uncovering secrets I didn't even know I had. One night, I came home to find the diary lying open on my desk. I was sure I'd zipped it inside my backpack that morning, yet there it was, pages fluttering as if caught in a breeze. My pulse quickened, and I hesitated before stepping closer. The page wasn't blank this time. "Tomorrow at noon. The bridge. Don't go." The bridge? There was only one bridge it could mean, the old railway bridge on the edge of town. It had been abandoned for years, sagging under its own weight, the planks rotted and missing in places. Nobody went there anymore. Nobody seen any. I tried to ignore the warning. I shoved the diary into my closet, buried it under a pile of clothes, and slammed the door shut. But the words lingered in my mind like a splinter. Tomorrow at noon. The bridge. Don't go. Sleep was impossible. I tossed and turned, my thoughts spinning like a whirlpool. What would happen if I went? What if I didn't? By the time the sun rose, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to let the diary control me. I arrived at the bridge just before noon. The air was heavy with humidity, the sky overcast. The wooden planks creaked under my weight as I stepped onto the bridge, each step sending a tremor of unease through my chest. The place smelled of damp wood and rust, the sound of distant crows breaking the eerie silence. I made it halfway across when I saw it. The figure from my room. It stood at the other end of the bridge, shrouded in shadows that seemed to cling to it like a second skin. Its head tilted at that unnatural angle, its arms long and thin, dangling almost to the ground. I froze, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it might burst. Who are you? I shouted, my voice shaking. It didn't answer. It just stood there, unmoving, watching. The diary was in my backpack. I didn't even remember bringing it with me, but somehow it was there. I pulled it out and opened it, my hands trembling. The words on the page made my blood run cold. Jump. My breath caught in my throat. I looked up at the figure, but it was gone. The bridge was empty now, the far end swallowed by shadows. My legs felt like lead, my head spinning. The diary's pages began to turn on their own, faster and faster, until they stopped on a blank page. New words appeared, written in that same jagged handwriting. Do it or she will. Panic surged through me. Who was it talking about? My mom? My sister? Someone else? I backed away, the rotting wood creaking under my feet, and then I heard it, a soft, familiar voice. Elliot? I spun around, and there she was. My sister, Abby, standing at the edge of the bridge, her face pale and her eyes wide with fear. What are you doing here? I yelled. I don't know, she said, her voice trembling. I couldn't stop walking. It's like something was pulling me here. The diary burned hot in my hands, the words twisting and shifting on the page. One must fall. No, I shouted, throwing the diary to the ground. Leave her alone. Abby took a step forward, her movements jerky, like a puppet on invisible strings. Her foot slipped on the edge of the bridge, and she let out a scream. Without thinking, I lunged for her, grabbing her arm just as she went over. The diary burst into flames, the heat searing my skin. I held on to Abby with everything I had, but the fire spread, the flames licking at my clothes, my skin, my mind. I felt the weight of something, someone behind me pulling at me, whispering in my ear. Let her go. I won't. I screamed, tears streaming down my face. The flames consumed the diary, reducing it to ash. The whispers stopped. The weight lifted, and Abby collapsed into my arms, sobbing. When I looked up, the figure was gone. We left the bridge that day, but the diary didn't leave me. It was gone, yes, reduced to ash, but its memory lingered, like a shadow that never fades. I don't know if it's truly gone or if it's out there, waiting for someone else to find it. I've stopped looking for answers. Some things are better left buried. But sometimes, late at night, I hear it, the sound of glass breaking, and I wonder if it's found someone new. If you've enjoyed this journey into the unknown, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have a tale of your own or a legend you'd like us to explore? Let us know. You might just hear it next. Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a story. Because here the darkness is always waiting just for you.